G'day, it's Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and today I wanted to address a key issue. Now, this issue in itself has happened to me many times. Every time I head off on a camping trip, well, not every time, but many times, I've always forgotten a few things, whether it's a spoon, a fork, or whether it's aluminium foil or tin foil, and even the fry pan or the barbie plate. So in this following video, we're going to show you how to get yourself out of trouble with a few little tricks of being able to source some interesting utensils from the world around you. So stay tuned. Okay, so one of the things that I've been caught out with in the past is obviously forgetting ice, to take ice with you camping. Now this is easier said than done, and it all happens to all of us at one time or another. But the fantastic thing about being here in Tasmania, and particularly on the eastern seaboard of Australia, is we have a relatively high rainfall. So this means we've got beautiful little creeks and rivers like this here. So I can actually get my sausages here, and I can just literally chuck them in like that and find a half decent rock, which is one in there. Chuck that on top like so. Usually works a bit better than that, and I can just leave my snags there. Now it's not going to freeze them obviously, but it is going to keep it below 5 degrees centigrade, and that's really what we want. Once your meat and your milk starts getting above 5 degrees centigrade, then it starts to fester and starts to decompose and break down. And that's when you start getting a build-up of bacterium inside it, and that's what's going to send you crook. So these will last in here for today, and we're going to fry them up a little bit later on. So what happens if you forget tin foil when you go camping and you want to roast a few potatoes? How do you get away with it? Well, there's a very simple solution. And basically what you have to do is, instead of looking at your surroundings, you need to look into them. And it's surprising what you can find. Now, we've just gone for a bit of a walk and we found this lovely clay here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this clay and I'm going to cover these spuds in the clay, and then we're going to bake them in the coals. Now, for some of you, you might think this is all a little bit weird, but this is something that indigenous tribes and people have been doing for thousands of years. So I just need to, because it's quite dry, this clay, just break it up a bit, like so. And then I just need to evenly, not pushing too hard because we don't want to destroy the wonderful skin of the Dutch creams here, but I'll just wrap that round like so, like that. So I'm going to run out, I might need a bit more clay, so that's okay, or maybe we'll make it. Let's see, there we are. So the key thing is making a good mud pie, and there you have it, one covered Dutch cream potato. Now, particularly up round Inaminka and along the Coopers Creek, a lot of the local Aboriginal tribes would actually get mud and cover their fish in mud and then chuck it into the fire. Now, if you think about clay in the form of porcelain, it makes a perfect insulator. And obviously we use this for electrics, or used to, and we use this for obviously cutlery, well, plates and all the rest. So it is a really good insulator. So, and usually it's in abundance. So it is a really handy way of getting yourself out of trouble. So we'll chuck these in the fire and we'll see how they come out. and they're coming up nicely, aren't they? So what I've done here, and this happened to me a couple of years ago, I was out in the highlands of Tasmania and I actually had bought some really nice venison sausages, but I didn't have a barbie plate and I didn't have a fry pan. But luckily I had plenty of this, or I like to think so anyway. A bit of knowledge and a bit of initiative and a good sense of humour. That's the most important thing you can take away with you. And I went off for a walk and I found a nice bit of mafic rock. It was actually dolerite, or commonly known as bluestone, which is really abundant here in Tasmania. And so I simply just got 2 rocks, I put a bit of stone over it and I lit a nice hot intense fire and built the heat up in it, and I cooked my sausages on it. So today I've done the same thing, but I've used basalt, and basalt is a much finer grained mafic rock. Now what's a mafic rock? Well, it's an igneous rock, so it's not sedimentary, it is igneous, it comes from a volcano, and a mafic rock is very fine grained. So that's what we've got here. So you could think of it, it's the organic version of stoneware. So anyway, these should be ready in a minute. Okay, so the billy's nearly boiled and it's time to check these spuds. Now what I've actually done is I've covered them in coals, but I've been careful how I've done it. You don't want coals that have got flames coming off them, because that means they're too hot. They're around about 250 degrees centigrade. But what you do want to do is you want to get them around about 180 degrees. And that's when they've got that nice red and orange, sorry, brain fart there. It's when they've got that nice red and orange glow to them. So we've done that, we've covered them, we've left them around about 40-50 minutes, depends on how hot your fire is and how good your spuds are. And look at them there, oh look at that. And they've been pretty well cooked, I'd say. So we'll crack these open and we'll have a bit of a taste. Looks like we've got a bit of iron in this one. Oh. And what I should have done is put this in the little creek where we started off. Anyway. Oh, look at that. Perfect. There we are. Perfectly roasted Dutch cream spud. Now the only thing that's left to do is a little taster. Now the first thing you do is you give a bit to the cameraman and see if he likes it. Hopefully he does. Perfect. I'd say that's better than tin foil, I would. The heat's been transferred over the whole entire skin of the potato, and yeah, it's a little bit singed there, but otherwise you wouldn't even get that better in your mum's oven. Well, I've got a cup of tea, I've got some sausages, and I've got some beautiful Dutch cream potatoes baked to perfection. I've got an excellent lunch here. I've even been able to source a stoneware plate here, which is, once again, lovely basalt. Some people might say it's a bit of a messy way of going about it, but I quite like it. It means that no matter where I am, I've got some way of being able to cook myself a pretty good meal. Anyway, I'll catch you later on. If you want to see more videos like this, please click the subscribe button below. And if you want to support the generation of content here at Seriously Series, please become a Patreon on Patreon. I'll catch you later on.